Hi, I'm Jennifer Taylor here on my YouTube channel, Hello Teacher Jen. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at helloteacherjenn. I have lots of tips for teaching in various online platforms. I am an online teacher for Outschool, vipkid, as well as itutorgroup. Those three companies have helped me become very equipped with teaching virtually. So this video is geared towards anyone who teaches online. So it can be a brick and mortar classroom teacher who has always taught in person, and now you are facing the challenge of teaching in a virtual classroom. Things are changing rapidly. 2020 is bringing so many different types of situations towards us. Our children deserve the best kind of education possible, and us educators, whether online educators like myself with experience as a brick and mortar teacher, I taught 12 years in elementary school, so I know what it's like to teach in the classroom, but I also know what it's like to teach virtually in several different types of platforms. So I am here today to tell you that you can do it, and you can make your learning fun and engaging no matter where you are, in the classroom, in person, on your computer in the classroom, on your computer at home. So these are some tips that are going to help you get started and feel successful. Number one, lighting. When I was getting hired for these online companies, they would not even think of hiring you if you did not have good lighting. That was their first thing. After checking your credentials, that's the next thing they looked at. Do you have adequate lighting? And they are very serious about it. They will not approve you if you have too many shadows on your face, if your camera is poor quality, or if your face is like not illuminated by light. So here's what you can do. I have an overhead light from my ceiling fan, and those I put in white lights so it imitates natural light. So if you are in a brick and mortar building and you have fluorescent lighting, that's a good start. So you have overhead light, and then I also purchased a ring light. It has a USB cable that can plug into an adapter that you can plug into the wall, or you can plug it directly into your computer with a USB cable for a power supply. So I always turn on my ring light because it always helps give that natural look. And so the ring light that I have also can hold your cell phone. So actually right now I'm filming this video with my cell phone. So let me show you the different settings this ring light can do. So it adjusts the warmth and coolness of the light. So here you go. That is warm, fluorescent, very natural light. This is warm, natural light, kind of, and here's back to the warm, and here's back to the natural, like the white light. So I'll leave it here, and then you can also adjust the dimness and the brightness. So I think I have it on the brightest. Here's going lower, 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 lower. Now it's practically, here I'm turning it off. So that's off. And I'm facing a window, so window is in front of me, not behind me. Never put a window behind you. So I'm gonna turn the light back on, and it's very low. So I'm gonna set it up higher, 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 higher. So that fills in the shadows that might exist from the window light. So there we go. So I'm gonna leave it right there. So you can see the big difference a ring light can make. It is definitely 100% worth your purchase. It will change the quality of your video immediately. So if you don't have one right now, a quick solution is to get a desk lamp and set it in front of you next to your computer or behind your laptop. You may have to prop it up higher so it is not hiding behind your computer, but get a lamp and put in a bulb that is white light and turn it on, and you may have to take off the shade or kind of play with it until you notice a difference where your face does not have very many shadows. Your goal is to have minimal shadows. So your students can see your face, they can see you enunciate and speak, they can see your facial expressions. It's really important that you can be seen very clearly. And that's why I'm spending so much time on this. Your students will not be engaged if you do not have a clear, crisp picture of yourself. And that brings me to my webcam. My computer is a Mac. Is a Mac desktop. It does have a webcam built into it. However, the quality is very poor. Not good at all. Even if I add all these lights shining on my face, I still have a ton of shadows. It's just not good quality. It's not very clear. It's just not good. We'll just put it that way. So the first thing I got was, after my light, was a webcam. It's by Logitech, and I have a link below that you can see what kind of webcam I have. It's an HD webcam. It auto adjusts to exposure. It's very sharp. It's HD, so it's perfect. It really works great, and I just plug that into my computer and hook up Zoom or whatever platform I am on. I select that Logitech webcam as my camera source. So I bypass the camera that is already in my computer. The next thing you want to do is invest in a good headset, and they're really not that expensive. So here's my headset. I'm not using it right now, so you might hear a little bit of an echo, but these headsets help tune out noise that you may have in your home. And the microphone is really good at catching exactly what you're saying. And the microphone silences background noise. If someone's screaming or, a really loud noise, they'd probably hear it. But the microphone is getting your voice, and it is enunciating. It's very crisp and clear, so your students can hear what you are saying. To be an effective virtual teacher, your lighting, your video, and your sound quality are super, super important. And all of the companies I teach for test for that. You have to send in test videos or a tech check where they check your system settings and that your lighting and your sound quality and your camera quality are top notch. So this is really important, because to grasp your students' attention in virtual teaching on a camera, think of watching TV or watching a newscaster. You need to look good, you need to sound good. The students need to have a good view of you. So those are essential. So that is really the first things that you really need to tackle. The next thing also has to do with your environment. You need to have a clutter-free background. If you do not have a background like I do, I just purchased this on Amazon. So here's behind me, and I just put it down. And but if you cannot have something like this, first of all, this is my suggestion. Buy one of these from Amazon and hang it on the wall behind you, and make sure you're pretty close to the wall so you just see the background. Or the other thing is just make sure the background behind you is neat and tidy. So if it's a bookshelf, make sure your bookshelf is in order. If it's a wall, make sure it's clear of clutter. You do not want clutter, because that is going to distract from you. You are the attraction, nothing else. So you need to make sure you're directing the attention to yourself. Okay, next. Okay, so now we're moving into having kids in your classroom. So I've taught on Zoom where I've had up to like 10 kids in a class, and I know right now you can have bigger classes than 10. And I've also taught one-on-one. So anywhere from one-on-one all the way up to 10 students is the situations that I have taught. And in those situations, when you have multiple students, it is essential at the beginning of class to set your expectations. Do you want all of them to mute their microphone? That will help reduce a lot of distracting noise. If everybody mutes their microphone when you are speaking, everybody is muted. Second thing is, what do you want them to do with their camera? Do you want their cameras on? Do you want their cameras off? If they are muted, come up with a signal for them to get your attention, whether it's through a chat box with them clicking on an emoji, like in Zoom, they could tap an emoji where their hand is raised, or they can do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. They can do different reactions with Zoom. So, and those reactions work whether they have their camera on or off. So that's essential because that's how they can ask you questions or how you can interact with them while you keep everybody muted. If you have your students muted and you want to have a discussion, you can have everybody muted and they can raise their hand physically like this if their cameras are on. So you would have to have it in gallery view, but their cameras would be on and they would raise their hand, or they would click on those reactions in Zoom or some other platforms where it sticks up like in a little emoji in the corner of their screen, and so you can see that they want to answer or participate. And when you're doing whole group discussions and you want interaction with your students and it's not a lecture, you really should have your settings on gallery view so you can see all of your students at one time. And I encourage you, if your student needs to leave the classroom or go do something, they may have to go to the restroom or they have something they need to do during the class, I encourage you to announce at the beginning of the class if they have to go to the restroom or anything like that, that they need to turn off their camera and mute themselves when they leave. That way it's not a distraction to anybody else. When you're teaching and it's simply a lecture, it may be better if you just do the teacher view, so your screen takes up the whole, your picture takes up the whole screen of the students. And you can also see on Zoom, you can also have a gallery view where you have a strip of your students at the top, so you can kind of see what they're doing. If their cameras are on, you can check in with them and kind of see if they're paying attention or if somebody has their hand raised, or you can check the chat box. All of my students have been elementary aged, so we don't use the chat box a lot. More often they would go like this or do the little signal that I can see in their picture of themselves. Okay, so that is getting your classroom started. Next, when you are teaching, I have found through Zoom and through other platforms that using screen share is essential. So I will use Google Slides to teach on outschool, and it has my whole lesson on it, and I will go through it, but I'm not just reading my slides. I'm talking normal, like I am on this video. It's more of an outline for myself, so I stay focused on the topic and don't forget to leave out something. And I may ask questions along the way to gauge comprehension and interaction. And usually towards the end of the lesson, I have a review game. So you might be wondering, how can I play review games virtually? So what you can do, because I wondered that too when I first started, there's a lot of resources out there. They're just kind of not discovered yet by a lot of us because we haven't been, we haven't had to use virtual teaching as our main source of teaching until very recently. So a lot of these resources are being uncovered and discovered. One thing that I really like for interactive games is Flippity. And basically you can Google that, Flippity, and I'll put the link below as well. It creates it has a spreadsheet and it turns it into a game. So it's already formatted and you plug in your information and then it creates a link that you can access and it's a game. And it could be like memory game, matching game. I haven't explored all of them. I think there's Jeopardy. There's a lot of different types of interactive games like that you should definitely try. Another thing is Kahoot. I know you've used that in the classroom, so this is how you can use it virtually. Your screen will share the teacher Kahoot screen, and your students will need to have two devices. One device, they will view the Kahoot question on their second device, which is better if they have in their hand, that's how they will answer the question on their device. So they view the question on their big screen and they have to answer the question on another device. So Kahoot is still possible, you just have to kind of work around it, and they need 2 devices to do that. Jeopardy, you can play Jeopardy in a lot of different ways. I searched Jeopardy Google Slides template and some results came up. I believe, like I said, Flippity has Jeopardy. You can play tic-tac-toe if it's a smaller group. There's really a lot of things. You can do Simon Says. You can do Show Me. You can involve hand motions or movements. Get your kids moving. Also, don't make them just sit still the whole time. They're gonna lose you. They're gonna daydream. They're gonna fidget. They're gonna fall out of their chair like my own daughter did during virtual learning at one point. So kids are kids and they're gonna move. They're just gonna be themselves. So we need to remember that and try to keep your lessons as interactive as possible. So that means when you're teaching something, use a lot of TPR. In the classroom, they're with you and you're close to them, and so it's different on how you engage them. But when you're teaching in class, if you're listing topics or reasons for something, use your fingers. First reason, second reason, third reason, fourth reason. Or if you're teaching like new vocabulary, if you're teaching dutifully, I don't know, I just came up with that word, dutifully. You would say, I am dutiful, I follow the directions. Or presume, so you could think, I presume, think, and point to your brain, because that's where you think. So it's really helpful to involve hand motions. So we're learning some songs, my kids are learning some songs for school, and one of their hand for science, and a lot of their subjects actually. So they're learning about different types of tissue in science. So you can say, what are 4 types of tissue? The 4 types of tissue are epithelial, which is skin or an outer laying, muscle, nerve, you can snap or point to your brain for nerve, and connective. So all of those have a hand motion that will help the student remember what you're teaching. So that's really, really helpful because students need input virtually that is more than just listening and seeing. With having them move and act around and act is gonna help them internalize that information. It's really, you have to still include the 5 senses when you teach virtually. It's just a little bit more challenging and you have to be a little bit more creative about it. Even if you're teaching a vocabulary word like leap, you can have them leap or have them leap. They can get up and jump and leap. You know, still have them move. Don't be scared to have them move around. You want them glued to you while you have them. Okay, so those are my tips for getting started with virtual teaching. Those are things that I use all the time in OutSchool, vipkid, and itutorgroup. They are all 3 different platforms, but something that they all have in common is the ability to screen share. So I can always pull up a slide for the students to see, and I will write on the slide, I will mark up the slide, I will type on the slide. So that's really important. And as far as screen sharing goes with PowerPoints, you can screen share videos, you can screen share your desktop, whatever's on your computer. You can screen share, I just lost my thought. Screen share videos, screen share your PowerPoint, screen share anything on your desktop, your photos, all kinds of things like that. Those are, oh yes, document camera. So you may be at home and you can't get to school and you have to teach at home. Maybe your child is sick, maybe you're sick, or maybe it's just like a little cold and you just don't go in to the building, or for whatever reason you have to teach from home. You can use your cell phone as a document camera, And so you can still write and they can take notes while they see your notes on the document camera, except the document camera is taking up your whole screen. So I have a whole video about that on how you can use your cell phone or an iPad as a document camera. You don't need to go out and buy a document camera. You can use what you have to create one. So those are my tips. Just remember, you love teaching and you just have to be flexible and you'll do a good job. Put on your happy face, smile, and if you need a break, try to work in breaks for yourself. It's very important that you give yourself breaks and you give your learners breaks. So everybody is engaged and ready to learn, and just know as technology, you will have glitches. That's gonna happen. So just try to take it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1/2 of a day at a time, 1 whole day at a time. You know, just take it incrementally. Try one new thing at a time, and then before you know it, you'll keep adding to your toolbox, and then you'll have lots of ways that you can engage and teach your learners online. So please feel free to email me at helloteacherjenn@gmail.com or connect with me on Instagram. I'm happy to help brainstorm with you and help you work through this. You can do it together. Teachers are strong, we're flexible, we're innovative. You can do it. I believe in you, and good luck and have a great school year.